Anyhow, Marco keeps aware of it, so we've got the muscle in there. Carolyn Pingali, when I say aware of it, and Carolyn Pingali's got a message, but you're the only person I've been able to talk to, nobody else has picked up the phone. If you could, but somebody call this Dan quickly, just to tell him, Dan really quickly, just to tell him that, we've got it and we're working on it, or whatever, or HP are going to be out, whatever the process is. With it being the EVA, it will be HP that are doing it though, for sure. It won't be us.
This is mine and Vicky's room. Vicky's bed.
I wish I could just sell stuff and walk away,
And then here is the toilet.
You'd think if somebody had phoned up with maintenance, it'd go into a pot where somebody would worry it through from there. But they don't, it keeps coming back to me.
Excellent.
Gathered. Yeah. The lights are in the churches. Much like, do you want it in coins or do you want to wait until I've got a fiver?
I'd say we're good.
Oh, there you go. Just stand behind me once I've got you.
Cold.
Well organised. Thank you very much indeed. That's lovely. Thank you. Just you. Hello there.
23 in the bit.
23. I've got a fiver. Excellent.
I'm getting a cold.
Okay. None of you would have to be rocket scientists to know. Maybe. Just a bit of Edinburgh trivia for you. This is technically part of the tour. Behind this wall, there's a big castle-like school just behind this wall. It's called Harriet's, and that's what J.K. Rowling based Hogwarts on. The school behind here. Right. Okay. There's quite a spectacular tombstone looming up from behind me. I'm not particularly interested. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go now into the locked section of the graveyard called the Covenanters Prison, and beyond that into one of the tombs called the Black Mausoleum, which is where all the poltergeist activity takes place. But before we do that, I've got quite a lot of things I need to discuss with you. So far on this tour, I've tried to be fairly... He has decided that these two trees give off very, very positive energy. They act as sentinels, if you like. So if you're a little bit worried about attachment, just don't worry. Just make sure you walk in between the two trees on the way back out again, and you are absolving yourself of any form of attachment. I'm just offering it to you.
Listen to the man.
Come on, switch off at the front of the night. Just wants to on that side, that'd be lovely.
If you get knocked out, what the key looks like?
It's in my right hand pocket. That would be entertaining. Okay, guys. We are now about... What I haven't confessed to any of you yet is that I used to be the biggest skeptic in the world. I didn't believe in any of it. If any of you guys are actors, I treated it like any other audition I'd ever been to. I read the script, I went for the interview at the end, and they said to me at the interview, are you frightened of the paranormal? Now you always want to give the right answer in an interview, so I said, well, I've got a healthy respect for the paranormal.
Mom! Mom! Well, we're going up there. All the way up there. To the top.
Back.
We're puffed.
Here's crocodile. Yeah, they don't go to Docklands to have a look round.
Who don't?
People, when they come to Edinburgh, they concentrate mainly and they forget that there's
See over there.
to go visit out there.
Well, what's the visit over there?
Let's see what time it is. Look. Look, Mum.
Is that sea? You can see through there.
Yeah.
Mark, it's a better view at sea, look. I thought it was just that part.
Come on, Mark.
Let's do you.
Sí.
While we were in Edinburgh, Vicky got herself a new boyfriend. Nice, Vic. Nice.
Last 2 minutes there. Such an old time. Getting higher and higher, aren't we?
With Mackenzie goes, knocks you out like
Child abuse.
Have you never tried them? You never tried them?
It feels like I'm being sick.
They can just snatch us off now.
No, they can eat it now.
Yeah.
Pull yourself together. Okay.
Chop off her head. Very messy affair actually. They took 3 swipes of the axe. Same thing happened to her grandson, Charles I, who was very unpopular here in Scotland for having introduced a new type of tax called annuity. And you can see this book is from 1635. It's called the Hoosfield Book, a book of rents, basically telling you about the people and streets down here. Now, as I mentioned, these walls came from lived on the street, including obviously Mary herself. And yes, we did spell things a little bit differently back in my day. This is the leg of Forbooth, the high street market stall she ran. I think you've all made it there. Only the best for you folks. I thought I'd bring you a cow shed. Now I realise it must seem quite peculiar to have a cow shed in the middle of modern day Edinburgh, but back in my time, of course, we needed our beef and milk as well. And when the plague was so widespread, you couldn't exactly be making trips out to the countryside, could you? Now, obviously, again, a man of my importance would never have set foot in such a disgusting place, but I do know that the poor people would have tied up the cattle, or kine as they're called, along this wall here. Where you see these little holes, these are called duck holes. That's where the beasts were tethered up there. The cobbled area is where they mucked out the dung and urine from, and that eventually made its way down to, you guessed it, the Nor Loch, as did all the other blood and waste from this slaughter area here. Now, you haven't seen anyone huddled up in the corners or sleeping in here, have you? See, back in my time, a lot of the poor people would have come in here to get away from the cold closes. What with all the noise and the intolerable smell, though, it wasn't possible for men like myself to get a good night's sleep just up the street there. So do not envy me too much. Now, the year is 1645. It is a very dangerous time in Scotland, so do be careful as you follow me. I'm going to bring you up to the Craig family house now. I was with John and Janet just a few weeks ago, and the whole clan were in fine form. So I think we'll get a warm welcome.
Oh, careful with the step.
John? Janet? in, ladies and gentlemen. And a bit of a state of shock here. I had no idea the pestilence had spread so quickly. Seems to have overtaken my good friends the Craigs. That's John Craig Senior lying in the corner there. He's passed away. He was working as a gravedigger in Greyfriars Cemetery for 3 weeks. How ironic. Indeed, that's probably where he caught the disease. And here in the corner you have his wife Janet with a couple of the wee ones. They're experiencing the symptoms of the plague, the pneumonic plague, swelling and fever, constant coughing and vomiting. Indeed, little Robert Craig here doesn't have the strength to get out of bed anymore. He's been sick where he lies, and he's already filled up this bucket here beside him. An even more gruesome sight on the other side of the house, wee Johnny Craig. We saw him playing with his jumping jack, but I'm afraid he's in a much more sorry state now. He's contracted the buboes, the pus-filled boils which could grow to the size of an egg underneath your armpit, or your neck, or your groin. And if these were allowed to burst on their own, they could poison your blood and lead to a very swift demise. Unlike his predecessors, that's why the city fathers had to promise him 100 Scots pounds a month or more, which was a huge amount of money in my time, to work as the plague doctor in Edinburgh. But when the disease had passed in the autumn of '46, they thought better of their unwanted generosity, and the good doctor had to fight for 10 years in court to get a decent pension. Now, have you all heard that we were breaking up our plague victims and leaving them to die? Yes. Have you been spreading those rumours? That's unfortunate because it's not true, although I do understand that you would hear modern folk telling you this very thing in Edinburgh, obviously more colourful and being told so often as to be taken as a fact. But the boring or truth is that there's documented evidence which proves that we did not break up our plague victims. Quite the opposite, in fact. Edinburgh had flag. In Scotland we used white to symbolise death. In England they used black, usually a cross. Either way, you're now all liable to be hanged or drowned for coming within 12 feet of plague victims. Add to that the fact that some of you are wearing very high... Stand there, yep. Yeah.
That's right, sir.
Yes, sir.
You do of course realise that you've just taken little people through the Craig family house.
Yes. Well, you see, we came in through the cowshed and we didn't see the plague flag until the... I'll have one or two of you on the isolation crate there, please. Now, as you probably have guessed, you can't really come to Mary King's Close without hearing a ghost story or two. Now, I'm not a storyteller myself, I'm an eel merchant, but I do know that the earliest recorded apparitions were written into a book in 1685 called Satan's Invisible World. Now, I do believe you can still read this book in your time. It was written by Professor George Sinclair from Glasgow University, who ironically didn't believe in ghosts himself, but rather was trying to spook people into going to church, become more religious. You see, he thought people were just using their imaginations, having seen gas and fog coming up from the Nor Loch. But I'm afraid to say there were just too many sightings of disembodied heads and severed limbs for it all to be imagination. And it's not surprising because there were so many people who died here of the plague on Mary King's that the bodies literally began to pile up. So much so that it said they were taken up to the fleshers, the butchers, who were told to chop up the bodies to make it easier to flush them down to the Nor Loch. Well, all you folk have to do now is sit back, relax and prick up your ears. You're going to hear about a family who came here in 1685 called the Coultharts. I just hope that what happened to them doesn't happen to you.
You're not imagining things. They say these old closes are haunted. I don't believe it. It's just now and then things have happened.
Takes to his bed and sleeps. His wife sits by him, reading Holy Scripture, when, of a sudden, by the chamber door, over there, she sees the head and face of a ghostly old grey-haired, grey-bearded man, and promptly falls down in a swoon. Woken by neighbours returning from church, she in turn wakes her husband.
Oh,
Thomas. He was old and not kindly. Like to have my soul away. There, wife, there. The couple build up the fire and go to bed. Only for the old grey man to return more malevolent still. And now he is joined by friends. First, in the air comes a young child with its quiver. Away with you! Then a naked arm severed at the elbow, the hands stretched out in greed. There, in front of your eyes. Free, woman. Next, free. A small. Let us get down on our knees. Enters, taking turn and turn about. And following comes a cat, leaping to the midst of the room and playing tricks. Then come more and stranger animals until the room is full of small little creatures dancing prettily, unto which no one can give a name, as never having seen their like in nature. And on it goes, until the coltart's ears are rent by a deep and dreadful groan, as of a strong man dying.
Although you all must be feeling very weak at this stage, I do urge you not to lean against these modern contraptions. They are keeping the very ceiling over our heads. Talking of the ceiling, it's bound together with cow and horse hair, as you can see. And there's also human ash up there, but don't ask me who it belongs to. Now, in your time, but back in my day we had a window tax to pay, and that's where the expression daylight robbery comes from. Indeed, that's why you'll never find any glass in a lake house. The poor people just couldn't afford it. They could afford glass in the infamous Exchange Coffee House, however. I say infamous because it's alleged they ran a brothel there, and in all honesty they drank much more ale than coffee, as £1 in my day was worth 3 of your measures, the traditional Scots pint. And the gentleman at the front is reading an edition of the Scots magazine, which I'm told still exists in your time. Across the way we have another publication, the offices of the Edinburgh Evening Courant, which ran from
going.
On their behalf. This might have been for when they were undertaking an important but risky journey and wished prayers to be said for their return. Bishop Ryan
supposed to be taking this down in 2005. I think they've made it up and protected it. It's only been brought for renovations.
So you're not going to be able to get through the box of things then. Wobber, do you go? Go, do you go?